coming at you live from America's podcast studio. Eric the Turf Teacher Jones, the landscape contractor and green industry platform for success. This is the Podscape, brought to you by LMN Software.
And welcome to the Podscape, everyone. On a Tuesday afternoon, quitting time, recording this podcast for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And man, what a crazy 2 days it has been. I swear, yesterday I needed a 36-hour day. You've probably heard me say that before. Why did God only create 24 hours in a day? Why didn't he give us 36? Because he knows people like you and I will work 32 hours instead of 20 hours. We're still only going to get about 4 hours of sleep. It was crazy. I got up yesterday about 4:30 and got the kids and stuff ready for school and started working probably around 6 o'clock, doing paperwork and things of that nature. And I didn't get home last night until about 8:45. And so it was a very, very long day. And I got home. My wife had a hamburger. She warmed up for me, and I ate that. And then I was laying in the bed, and I laid out my calendars, my paper calendars, in my iPad, and I was calculating what I needed to get done today. So, there's this guy out there named Turf Teacher. If you've ever heard of him, I don't know. I listen to him every day. He had a podcast last week about managing time, right? Well, I'm managing every single minute of the day. It's just one of those times that I'm just like, Eric, you got to slow down. You've got to slow down. But I did get quite a bit of stuff done yesterday. Not quite as much as I did what I wanted to. And then I've had a pretty good day today. So we actually met with Builders First Source, getting some custom home quotes, because we're not only green industry landscape contractors, we do run a full-service general contracting business. And I'm doing a cost-plus custom home for a doctor here in the Triad. So had to meet with them, change some things up on a lumber package with Builders First Source, and then met our sheetrock guys at a commercial property that we're going to do an upfit for a dentist office. So a lot of what do you call it, pans on the fire. It's just absolutely crazy. And then we had the crews there out doing some cleanup. And that's kind of wanted to talk about the first part of the podcast is, we talked contracts yesterday. And so we took over a property that did not have a contract with the landscape company prior to us. We gave our bids in last week, and they were happy. They actually informed us Friday that you have the job, and then they actually let the contractors go late Friday or over the weekend. So we were in there yesterday and today doing a full cleanup, but the leaves had not been gotten up. I mean, they were packed down into the turf grass. So we went in there, cleaned up, took the dump truck, blowed out all the front beds in front of the shopping center, which is a beautiful shopping center to begin with. And it can really look cool. And so got some nice flower pots out front. I'm ready to get in there and do some really cool designs on those for spring. But you got to make sure, guys, you have contracts in place. If not, you can get fired, and you have no legs to stand on. And that's what we talked about yesterday, and we are going to continue talking about that this week, because nobody wants to get burned, including your homeowners. When you're entering a contract with someone, you have to fulfill your obligations just like they have to fulfill their obligations. Their obligations is to pay you, give you access to the site, give you keys to the maintenance shed or wherever they've got the irrigation controllers, where they've got controls for the landscape lighting. You have to have access to all that, and you shouldn't have to wait on keys or anything like that. It should be made readily available. And so all of that stuff needs to be covered in your contract. And so that's what we've been doing today, cleaning up. Got it cleaned up halfway decent. We still got a little bit more to come back. But, we got some grass out there that's needing cut, and we are in the second week of February. It's unbelievable that we see a lot of green grass coming up. And so when we were cleaning out these beds and cleaning out these islands that had turf grass in it, we raked it up and got a lot of the elm leaves. They had some Chinese elms planted in the shopping center. And so those leaves are almost like willow oak leaves that they get matted down into the grass. So we took a leaf rake and, scratching it hard and getting it out. And so that turf grass got lifted up. It's time to cut some grass. And so now we got the leaves up. It's time to do that fertility app on it. So that was the shopping center that we did. We actually bought the measuring wheel that connects to your cell phone. And I'm trying to see the box where it's at. They've actually took it away from in here in the office. But it was a very, very cool piece of equipment that we measured every single square foot of the grass and the shrub beds. And I'm looking for it right now here on my Instagram, and Lord of mercy, what did we call that? I feel so dumb right now that I can't find it. But anyway, I'll make an Instagram post about it because I really, really love that measuring wheel. And I don't know, I'm starting to forget names. I do. And it's like you go out to eat or something and you see somebody you know and you're like, oh, my God, what is their name? My wife will be like, why didn't you introduce me? I was like, well, sweetie, it's because I couldn't remember their name. I didn't want to say, this is my wife, Suzanne, and this is somebody that I've known for 20 years, but their name has slipped the top of my tongue. I can't remember who they are. So, but anyway, we measured the entire property, square inch per square inch, with this measuring wheel. It connects to your cell phone, and we have the exact amount of square footage for it. And it was good getting this contract. We did have a little bit of inclement weather this weekend, so Dad actually ran over there and just making sure everything was fine. But it is a south-facing shopping center, so there was not really much to do. We had, a dusting of snow, so nothing much. By 9 o'clock when the sun came up Sunday morning, it was all gone. So, but the other thing that I want to discuss tonight, because yesterday we did get into a little bit of contracts. It's not the full lecture of having a contract. I do contract and specifications management. That is a 2-hour course that I usually teach at the college, and it is something that I go around teaching for other contractors. But we did stop off with the bond and insurance yesterday, and as you know, bonding is that surety tool which a bonding agency, it's kind of like an insurance agency, guarantees payment in the event that you fail to complete your legal obligation. And as a landscape contractor here in North Carolina, we are required by law to actually have our surety bond. And so with this contract that we've got now with the shopping center, if we failed to do our job, they could call our surety bond. They'd actually call the North Carolina General Contractors, but the Landscape Contractors Board, and make a complaint with them. And the licensing board, which has control of our bonds, they are actually not a co-signer, but they are acting almost like when someone gets sick and you have power of attorney. So they are a power of attorney over our bonds. They can actually enact the bond to make sure that the client is happy and that the work is performed to their specifications. So it takes a complaint. All you got to do is call the licensing board, and those things get enacted on. And then with our insurance, with that contract, they needed to see copies of our license. They needed to see copy of our business license, irrigation and landscape contractor and general contractor's licensing. And then we give them a certificate of insurance, workers' comp, general liability, automobile, the whole 9 yards. They checked us out thoroughly, and they were happy with what they saw, so they did hire us. So those are the things, guys, that you need to have together, like in a portfolio already, or in an email folder that you can drop in a copy of those license, a copy of your business license, a copy of your certificate of insurance that lists, where you've got your insurance at. And so if we're sending them a current one, we could get a generic one every week if we wanted, or every day. But if you had one like every month or so that you could drop in there, that way they can actually see where it's at, and then they can call the insurance company and double check and make sure that it is in order. And a lot of the times these companies that you work for, they're going to want you to add them as an additional insured to your policy. It's going to cost you, I think, about $15 a year, something like that, to add people. But it's just giving those owners a little bit of more surety, more proof that you are willing to take that extra step and do the right thing. So, well, guys, if you're interested in some pesticide credits, we offer them every Tuesday night. And I do have a class tonight, which you're probably not going to be hearing this until afterward. But every Tuesday night, it's Turf Talk Tuesdays. We offer pesticide credits here in North Carolina. And then sometimes we do them in South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. So check this out right here, and I'll see you just in a second.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together.
Before we get started today, I want to give a big shout out to LMN Software, because none of this would be possible without them. I've personally been using their software in my own company, and so far it's been a complete game changer for my business. LMN is the most comprehensive landscape business management software in the industry. From budgeting, estimating, CRM, time tracking, and so much more, it's a simple do-it tool for your landscape business and provides a platform to scale your company to the next level. And the best part about LMN is they have a free version, which you can begin using today if you choose to. Just visit golmn.com/free to learn more and start taking advantage of the software that's helped me grow my business into a successful, sustainable, and profitable company. That's golmn.com/free. golmn.com/free.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together.
If you're needing irrigation, landscape, or pesticide credits, check out my website at turfteacher.com. Every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., we host Turf Talk Tuesday for pesticide credits and have online courses for both irrigation and landscape contractors. There are also several opportunities to get your credits at one of our seminars that we do throughout the southeastern United States, and information on our Christmas lighting course. Check it out again at turfteacher.com. Okay, we're back, and so let's talk about the contract that we just got. We're at this new shopping center, right? And we, submitted our bids last week, and we started work today, and worked a little bit there yesterday. And there are some things that are going to come up in contracts that you need to be aware of. And they may not be a part of your contract, but they may be some things that your customers may want you to do. For one is when it comes to ordinances and deed restrictions. There may be some restrictions as far as plant pruning or removal. You can't go in and just start butchering things. You can't. Now, let me tell you the situation with the shopping center that we're at. A lot of the tenants we've already met, because when we were measuring the property, they came out and spoke with us and things of that nature. And they're like, oh, so you're pricing the work. Well, can you prune this tree? Can you do this? Can you do that? Well, for one, we have to get permission from the owners who are, taking care of their clients. And so everything we do, we've got to go through the property manager that works for the owners. But the owners are super cool. And they have a guy that comes around all the time that they call the property manager. And one thing is there are some tall magnolias in the parking lot that have been tree formed, but they're getting a little low again. They need to be risen up some more, and they need to be pruned a little bit back on the sides, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to go in and prune a magnolia. These guys, they drop leaves all the time. It's the Magnolia grandiflora. And so they're wanting these cut back because it's blocking their signage on the building. Well, even if the owner says, yes, we need to check with the municipality that this shopping center's in. Can we go in and cut these trees? Or is it better to go ahead and cut them down and replace them with something that is smaller growing? That may be the case. You've got to check. That's why a lot of these issues or these topics were left out of the contract. Our contract only includes mowing, snow removal, fertility apps, and parking lot sweeping. And we've already got 2 construction jobs off of it already, remodeling a vacant shell within the shopping center for a new dentist office going in, and we had to have our electrician come out and work on some of the street lights. So the work is there, and we've been doing it. So we've had a busy 2 days. We've had a busy weekend. But these landscape ordinance that you need to look at, and plant and pruning regulations, we need permission from the city to do that. Also, when it comes to the crepe myrtles, everybody's wanting the crepe myrtles cut and the Chinese elm trees that are in the parking lot because, again, they're blocking the people's signage. When you pay high-dollar rent in a shopping center, you want to make sure that people can see your signage. But we have to double-check not only with the owners but with the city. You can't just go in there and start cutting it. You go in there and you start cutting it. Next thing you know, you're going to have a city inspector driving up because somebody's going to turn you in. And it's not going to be one of the tenants. It's going to be one of the customers of the tenants, people visiting the shopping center doing their shopping. One of them's going to be a master gardener, I guarantee, and they're going to walk up to you and say, you're crepe murdering these crepe myrtles. And yes, it is called crepe murder. But guys, if you go in and you pollard these crepe myrtles, which that's the terminology, it's not crepe myrtle, it's called pollarding. If you want to use the scientific name, it's called pollarding. It's been around for, hundreds of years. Our ancestors started it back in Europe. Pollarding originated from our ancestors who needed it to protect their home. And when I say protect it, it means protect it from the weather elements. So you have a deciduous tree that you plant next to your house that does not have heating or air condition or insulation or anything like that. These were like mud brick houses, not up to today's building code. So you got cold if you didn't have a fire. But what they would do, they would plant deciduous trees as close to the house as they could. We don't want to do that now, do we? No. And so during the summertime, they had this tree that had shade on the house. It helped cool the house. Well, in the wintertime, they would cut all the limbs back, which allowed more light to hit the brick, the mud bricks, and it heated the house. And not only did that allow heat coming through, they had a significant amount of firewood that they could use, because when you pollard a tree, guess what happens? You get that flush of growth and you get those nice stems and everything that come back. And so they had that every winter to help them get fire started and actually burn some stuff. It was a type of wood that they could use in their stoves. So there's your history lesson on pollarding. And so people brought it over to the United States and thought we should do it to crepe murders. But you know what? There is no scientific evidence that it is going to kill the tree. You just need to do it right, because there are times when you need to cut the crepe myrtles back. And that's why you need to have a truck that doesn't have your logo on it when you're there doing it, so people ain't going to start doing it. Because you know what? What matters most? It's making your clients happy. I don't care what a master gardener says or what other landscape contractors have. If they want to pay you to not do it, then say, hey, I won't do it. I'll pay you. But you know what? I'm working for my customer who wants it done. And as long as it's good with the city, you're fine. You don't have to worry about it. So, a little mixed emotions there when it comes to pollarding crepe myrtles, Lagestromia indicus. But always check with, your city. Also, there's an issue with some drainage on the shopping center. The leaves have filled the actual curb and gutters so much. You can't even get down to it. I mean, the leaves are packed full in these gutters. We're having to pull those things up and dig out what we can, and then take like a vacuum down there and kind of pull all those leaves out, because water stands. And then water stands and starts backing up into some of the buildings and things of that nature. Then the city gets involved, then erosion control. I mean, just think of the nightmare there. Make sure you keep those things clean. And that's probably going to be in your contract. That's going to be one of the things that some of your commercial tenants are going to make sure that is in your contract. Don't do anything on site that could actually push that water off of your property onto someone else's property. That is a big, big issue. There's probably more lawsuits involving landscapers when it comes to drainage and basements flooding than anything else out there. And if you're working for someone that you have a contract like this with and they ask you to do extra work, make sure that if there's a plan required, there may be plans required by your city, and they may also require building permits depending on type of the work that you're doing. If it is a retaining wall, you are going to have to pull that permit. So those are some issues that you may run across with your contracts, extra work, things of that nature. And then last but not least, guys, there are going to be some tort issues that you may want to think about. When you start planning the work that you do, a lot of these issues don't come into play. It's when you wake up in the morning and then you're just like, oh, yeah, I got to do that for our client, and you haven't properly planned, you're going to run into these issues. But a contractor will be required to perform activities within the boundaries of the law always. And failure to abide by these legal requirements can result in damage to someone else's property, which will get you in a lot of trouble. So this is basically hurting someone else's property to fix up somebody else's. You could be charged with trespassing, just by crossing over their property to get to the backside of your client's property. Don't walk across somebody's property. You may run into an issue of a nuisance. This is a disruption that causes discomfort to another. They may not want you mowing before 8 o'clock in the morning. They may not want you mowing on Saturdays or Sundays, certain neighborhoods. These can all be issues that are brought up in a legal battle. Then there's negligence, failure of a professional to act in a reasonable and prudent manner to safeguard the well-being of others. Our license that we carry is designed to protect the health and welfare and safety of the general public. So any times that negligence is involved, you risk losing that license forever. Always. And then always protect water. If there's a pond, if there's anything on the property, a creek, river, whatever, you must protect it. The riparian rights. This is subject to state and federal laws because every landowner has the right to have safe water running through their property, if it's a creek or if it's a pond. So when it comes to pesticides and things of that nature, guys, you must be extra, extra careful. And, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I am going to have to go ahead and get ready and do my class tonight. We're going to do a 1-hour pesticide class tonight on label calculations. That's good for aquatics. So that kind of reminded me of that. So aquatics, right away, ornamentals and turf, research, dealer, and private applicator. So again, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next lecture. For more landscape business expert advice, check out golmn.com/blog. And once again, a massive shout out to LMN Software for sponsoring this podcast and making it all happen. LMN is the most comprehensive landscape business management software in the industry. from budgeting, estimating, customer relationship management, time tracking, and so much more. It's the true do-it-all tool for your landscape business and provides a platform to scale your company to the next level. And the best part about LMN is that they have a free version which you can use today if you choose to. Just visit golmn.com/free to learn more and start taking advantage of the software that's helped me grow my business into a successful, sustainable, and profitable company. That's golmn.com/free. And thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you in the next lecture. And that wraps up this episode of the Podscape. Thank you so much for joining us here, guys. I love each and every one of you. Life lessons and landscape lectures brought to you by the Turf Teacher and LMN software. We'll see you in the next episode. Turf Teacher out.